Hi everybody, I'm so glad you joined us last night with our Chalk 101 class, and I wanted to follow up and make sure you had the recipe and just some of my favorite tips when making your own chalk paint. Just a flat chalk paint is all you need, a little of the plasters of Paris, and hot water. I'm going to give you a recipe and then I'm going to tell you a couple things that I do. Right now I have a half a cup of the Paris of plasters, and I'm going to add that with the same half a cup. Did I say it wrong again? And half a cup of water. So it's equal portions. And I want you to kind of zoom in on this a little bit so they can see what they're going to look like. I want that texture, everything to kind of be rubbed together. The warm water is actually going to help melt this, and you want to get it, all the clumps, as much as you can, kind of erased out of there. So you kind of see that it's becoming really thin. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to add this to the paint. I do like mine a little thicker than more liquidy like this, but I'm going to let you see the recipe and you can kind of decide how much of the plaster of Paris that you want to add. So that looks like a really good consistency. You may have a couple of clumps if your water wasn't warm enough, or if you didn't get a great measuring. This is not the best stirring stick, even though it is a stirring stick. But you can kind of see that texture. That's the texture you want. So I'm going to just add that to half a cup of paint so you can kind of see what that texture looks like. It's not changing the color of the paint. You'll see it'll kind of look a little gray, just a little bit, but when it goes on it will be black when it dries. I don't have a piece here just to show you, but I just wanted to see the texture. Okay, so for me, this is a little liquidy, but this is a really nice smooth texture. If you're going to make this ahead of time, it is plaster, so it will harden. So you want to make sure it's airtight and in just a room temperature room. So I like it. So it's smooth like that. For me, I like it a little more, just a little more. I just like a little bit more thickness. So I'm just going to add a little bit more water, a little bit more plaster. Kind of cut my water and plaster, just so you can see that. That's just the consistency that I like to paint with, that over the years of painting with chalk that I've noticed I prefer. And it'll kind of add, and as it sits for a little bit, it'll get a little bit more thick. So you can see this is already starting to get a little bit more thick, and that's, I want it to coat my, if it's coating your stir stick, that's exactly what you want, is that amount of thickness. You want it to stir. If you've got any little chunks that you can't get out, it's okay. It will, if it gets on your furniture piece, you'll be able to sand it out easily, so don't worry about seeing little chunks or little flakes. That's okay, it'll sand perfectly smooth. But the smoother that you can get this formula, the better your paint will be. Okay, so that's how simple it is. I used today half a cup of each product. You can play with your mixture. I used half a cup. I added a little bit more of the plaster. You can, if you're going to make less, you see how much this made. If you're going to make a little bit less, you can go to a quarter of a cup and start there if you just want to try a little bit. This amount right here, I can paint my entire dresser and then some with this amount. It goes a really, really long way. Okay, so I hope that gave you a lot of information, and if you have any other questions on chalk painting, distressing, please go ahead and ask below, and I can't wait to hear from you guys. Thanks guys, bye-bye.